Hi, welcome to my lab. I'm back! I'm sorry that I didn't post it for a while, but I had really hard time in the end of the last year and I couldn't prepare a video. I was working on those all the time, so I hope to show you more of my creations in nearest future. My today's victim will be this Howleen wolf doll. This is second time when I am customizing Howleen, but this time I am not planning to cover her in fur from tip to toe. But first, let's take her to my Murin spa, where each doll is treated like a queen. Our specialists spoil her with high quality procedures like cutting hair, decapitation, brain extraction, ethanol bath, ear correction, and acetone face mask. Murin Spa, everything for those who want a new start. There she is, ready for repaint. Off camera, I covered holes after her puppy ears with tape and protected with Mod Podge, which was useless because I ended up removing it later. Also, I glued her human operetta ears, which I had after my Astral Chimera repaint. They will be covered with hair later, but I like human dolls to have ears even if they are not visible. I know that they are there, it is enough. I have this yarn after my Sally repaint. It looks like vomit. When I was working on her, we have got beautiful fall in New York City, which inspired me to make autumn-themed doll, and these colors are perfect. I know that now we have got January and fall is ended months ago, but let's bring memories of these beautiful times. I knotted randomly each yarn strand on this metal stick and brushed it with pet brush to get this ready-to-use doll hair. Many doll artists are straightening yarn after brushing, but I forgot about it. Also, I like how fluffy it is. Similar to Sally, I wanted to give her mixed hair color, but this time, instead of making wig, I still remember this nightmare, I am rerouting her, hoping for better results. I am using my homemade rerouting tool made from needle cut in the end and installed in the Exactor knife handle. I am punching each second hole in doll's head. It sounds like endless suffering, but actually it is quite relaxing. In the meantime, I realized that I forgot to paint her scalp. I was too lazy to take paint, so I used black Sharpie. Then I covered it with Mod Podge to prevent marker for smudging. In general, be careful with markers on those faces because they can bleed and stain vinyl permanently. And here she is! There is a huge difference between her and my overrooted queens. Previously I punched each hole and, as you can see, it was not a good idea. Usually after rerouting I am pulling tons of glue to the neck hole, but this yarn hair stick quite well in her scalp, so I skip glue this time. When it comes to the haircut, I wanted to try hairstyling trick which Nerdy Crafter tried in one of her videos. First I am brushing all her hair to the front. Important is to do this in sections to have all hair evenly spaced. Then I am doing a blank cut in front of her face. Of course, you can left her with Johnny Bravo hairstyle,
Man, I'm pretty.
but when you brush it down, you will get Tina Turner. This cut works for doll and it looks great for this kind of colorful hair. Although I am not sure how it would work with stiffer synthetic hair, maybe I try it next time. Okay, time for some body modifications. I want her to be in set with Sally, which, besides of colorful hair, has got also flat feet. Previously, I cut feet in 3 parts, which I repositioned. So this time, I want to try something different. I cut triangles on her feet and under her toes. Then I took armature wire, which I put in the holes which I drilled. They will help me position her foot later. I dunked her leg into boiling water for a few minutes to make plastic flexible. You can also use heat gun if you have one. Then I am just bending the plastic and secure it with wire to keep it in place. The same goes with toes. When I am satisfied with shape, I am putting foot into ice cold water to set the plastic, and it is stable now. It is still not fully flat, but it is not high tiptoe as before. After dealing with second foot, I am sanding marks after cuts and filling them with Magic Sculpt. Next step, outfit. This time I am making my own patterns, so you will have some House of Mouse fashion today. I started from making her bodies using tape method, and I learned that this is not that easy as it looks. After transferring it to the paper, I cut it from the red fabric. I hemmed with glue holes for legs, hands, and cut on her back. Then I sewed the sides, making small darts on the front. Off camera, I added collar and beads closure inspired by Enchanterium's videos. It is annoying to put on doll, but it looks fabulous. Time for skirt. I cut this long rectangle from this red-black fabric. Then I folded the pleats by hand and set them with iron. To make a skirt, I have to gather top, which I also did by hand pleat by pleat. Yes, the pleat pattern is different now because I made mistake with previous one by making it too short. But the process is the same, so I did this off cam. Then I sewed the bell part. After cutting the axis, I just sewed the back. For the closure, I decided to use human size button. Not exact human size, but you know. I thought about gluing some ribbon to it, but actually it looks cool as it is. To protect material from ripping, I hemmed the buttonhole in the same manner as for our human size clothes. Her skirt is very puffy, so to protect her private areas, I prepared her underskirt from this red organza. Off camera, I sewed the pocket for a rubber band. Then I closed the back, and here it is. After checking the fit, I cut the factory hem. This is very stiff organza which is not flying, so I left it like it is and finished the closure. Ta-da! Next step, tights. I pinned elastic black fabric from my old tights and sewed it directly to her leg, then cut the axis. I was using red thread because it is visible on the black fabric. Don't repeat my mistake. After sewing it, I just flipped it and thread stitching is visible. I didn't want to start it once more, so I just painted red thread with black Sharpie. My lifesaver. To make her tights even more fancy, I connected them with bodies with red embroidery thread. Her outfit is too tight in waist for proper belt for tights, so I make it like this. Of course, it makes putting her outfit even more annoying because I have to put her tights and bodies at the same time, but usually I'm not changing clothes of my dolls, so I can live with it. Next is shirt. I was helping myself with Moonlight's Jewel college jacket pattern, which I modified to fit my design. I shortened it to be waist length, changed the front piece and added shoulder part for more detail. I didn't change the sleeves, I used them as they are from the pattern. Then I cut all my pieces from this cute but annoying as hell fabric. First I sewed the cuffs of the sleeves right sides faced. Then I flipped the cuff and sewed it to the hem made from the previous step, leaving seamless end. I cut the axis and immediately protected the fabric from fraying using fray check. Now it is time to connect the body's puzzles. First, I sewed together the shoulder parts. Yes, I could make them as one piece. Then I sewed it to the back piece, and why it is so terribly uneven. I ripped out everything and I realized that shoulder pieces are indeed uneven because this fabric is so annoying to work with. So I cut another piece, this time making sure that everything is okay, and sew everything together once more. Much better. Then I added front pieces and our favorites, sleeves. The last step is to sew the sides and flip it to the right side. Here it is. Off camera I sewed the collar and shirt is done. I thought that this material will be more see-through, but I like it anyway. Time for her shoes. Her new fit cured and I realized that plastic returned to its old shape. It looks like Magic Sculpt is not the best for this kind of modification due to its long curing time. I removed it and reshaped her legs again. This time, to set the fit, I used Worbla thermoplastic pellets. I was avoiding them because I planned to make her shoes out of Worbla too. To use pellets, you have to warm them in hot water, and when they become this transparent jelly, they are ready to play with. I filled the gaps with it and then I heated it again using my hair dryer and reshaped to my desire. Then I sanded the thermoplastic to smooth everything up. Now is the real time for the shoes. My inspiration for them was these gorgeous Martens boots. I tried with classic Worbla thermoplastic, but I failed so badly. It is not your fault, Worbla, it's me. Then I made this prototype from fan foam and I thought, I can work with it. First I gently warmed the back part on the tea candle and after shaping it on the pen, I glued it to the soil using super glue. Then I added the rim. I reshaped top part with tongue using candle and glued it to the rim. Lastly, I glued the outer soil parts and cut all the excess foam and give them final shape. To fill the gaps and all unevenness of the foam, I used puffy paint. Here I use black, but for this step you can use any color you want. I smoothed the paint with leftover foam and paintbrush. When it all dried, I painted it with black acrylic paint and glossed with gloss varnish to give it leather-like finish. After adding some decoration and shoelace, they look like this. When I made them, I was so proud of myself, but after seeing recent shoe masterpieces by Moonlight Jewel, I wasn't that happy. But next time they will be better. Time for the doll herself. I painted her feet with acrylic paint, trying to color match her original skin tone. I used makeup sponge to smooth the transition. Next, I sprayed her face and body with DuraClear Ultra Matte Varnish diluted with water using my airbrush and started to blush her body with soft pastels. I sketched her eyes very close to her eye molds using red watercolor pencil. I also gave her brows, and unaware how uneven they are, I sealed her again. Then I moved to my beloved acrylic paints. I can say that painting this face-up was a real pleasure for me. I just love Howleen's scalp and her face turned out super cute, and I am glad that I have more of them in my stock, because she suits my style perfectly. I gave her brown eyes with hint of gold and winged eyeliner. Everything went so smooth that I even didn't have abomination state. Boring! Her nails are so beautifully sculpted that I couldn't resist to paint them red. I also used the same color for her molded panties. After styling her hair, she is ready for the final assembly and photoshoot. It's a shame that I wasn't able to take her pictures when fall was in all its glory. I finished her just 1 week too late. Yet I am still very happy how she turned out. Everything went as I had in my mind. Except shoes, they are still chunky. When I am putting her next to Sally, she reminds me how much I improved, which makes me very happy and motivated. I really enjoyed working on her. Would you like to see more of girls like her inspired by other seasons? Let me know in the comments. And this is all for today. See you next time. I hope that it will be sooner than now. Bye!